Hello, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3. And in this particular video, I'm going to talk about PhD preparation tips and how to actually find journal articles to read during your PhD. So if you don't know me, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out to get through graduate school that I decided to pay the favor forward and help you out as much as I possibly can. All right. So in terms of finding these journal articles to read during a PhD, so first of all, you're going to be reading a bunch of coursework and all that kind of stuff. That's great to sort of think about that. Oh, and by the way, I'm still wearing these glasses with the duct tape that's on them. I haven't got my new glasses yet, right? So it's just to let you know. So anyways, when trying to find these journal articles to read, sometimes is a little bit daunting. And the advice to go and just Google on, Google Scholar, or there's other ones that people use, but I just use Google Scholar. It's easiest. It's really functional. That's probably not the best advice, to be honest. It doesn't work all that well, especially as somebody that's a noob and you're trying to figure this stuff out. You're really just lost throughout the whole process. That's going to waste your time a lot because you just don't have unlimited resources to Google and read all this kind of stuff. And Google is not necessarily all that. It's good in terms of search, is better than a lot of things, but it doesn't prioritize for you what is the best possible thing for you. So what I would recommend before you start reading really broadly and all that kind of stuff, that's going to be a total waste of your time, is pick the 5 to 10 people in your area. So maybe it's in strategy. So find the people that are 5 to 10 people, the most sort of influential people, or people that you find interesting. So it's strategy. Maybe you're looking up, you want to look up innovation, for example, and then you look up people that are doing innovation in strategy, and you want to look up, what they're doing and read what they're doing. Just read their work and read just a couple of their articles, 1 or 2 of their articles, maybe more if you want to, but what you're looking for is the top people in that particular area. So just go onto their websites, go into, the Google Scholar pages for them and find that kind of stuff. This is what I do. This is what virtually everybody does, by the way, that's doing this kind of stuff, because it's going to reduce your time. If you're kind of doing the broad search thing, and every once in a while, I'll ping and go and look to see what other people are doing. And, that I'm like, oh, they have great work. And so I'm going to go read what they're doing and try to discover and get some ideas from what they're doing. Everybody does that. It's the simplest way to sort of do this search. The second thing to do, and this is a lot less effective, but it gives you a broader search, is pick the top 1 to 5 journals in your area. And the way that you can look for that is just look for journal rankings and just find those particular 1 to 5, or ask somebody specifically in those areas. In my field, there's a bunch, but it would be Administrative Science Quarterly, the Academy of Management journals, and those very specific to those kind of areas. And then I would just read a couple of the articles, or I would just look at the titles often and see, oh, that's a really cool title, or that's a really interesting thing. What are they doing? Or for me, because, I've been doing this for so long, you get to know people. The sort of scientist will pop up, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I know this person. I'm going to read what they're doing. And then you go read their work, right? So that's what you want to do. And that's going to narrow your search. It's going to be a broader search because it's going to, you're going to be scattered a little bit more into the information that's going into those journals is going to be a little bit broader than you going specifically to the scholars that you like. And that's going to help you out. And then what the other thing that you can do at this stage is just look up and I mentioned this in the last video, is look up the PhD syllabuses in your specific area. So if it's PhD in strategy, just Google PhD strategy syllabus. That's it, right? Like those words specifically, and find those particular things. And then you will find the curated articles of people that think that this is really cool stuff, right? So you can look at what they've curated. Everybody has different flavors of what they think are important. There's overlaps for a lot of people in terms of what they think is important on these syllabuses, but there's a lot of sort of variability and flavors and stuff like that, depending on which bent you take and sort of view that you take. And everybody's different in what they find is interesting, but you get a curated view of what that is. So when we are crafting syllabuses for our own courses and stuff, we'll often do that and do a search and see what other people are doing. And then we pick the sort of interesting articles that they think are interesting and a couple of that we think are interesting and combine it. And then you have some sort of syllabus that makes a lot of sense and is coherent. And then the last thing is, once you have a specific idea that you have in mind that you want to go into, then you want to start reading on those specific topics, but within the domain that you're in, right? So if you're interested in, veterinary care, right? Veterinary clinics. And I have a personal interest in that. But anyways, veterinary clinics, I have a special person in my family that is in that particular field. But anyways, so you might look at veterinary clinics, strategic management, see if anybody's written up that kind of stuff. And you want to look at the specific journals. So if you read too broadly, the quality varies substantially, like a lot between different journals. Nobody ever tells you that. But if you vary outside of the mainstream journals, some of the articles are really good. They're going to be a lot more, there's going to be a lot more variance though between them. And the reason is it's just the standards are ridiculously high in the mainstream journals, and the more that you vary outside of them, the standards just get, they just are lower. It doesn't mean that there is journals that are not necessarily all that good, that are not mainstream or whatnot, but it just means that there's more variance and it's harder to identify those ones. So you can see a tremendous amount of variance. There's all sorts of ideas and sort of research in this area. I'm not going to get into that, but basically it's going to save you some time to sort of read within the domain, your particular domain, and those particular, the best journals. And then once you find those specific things, so veterinary clinics, and look up strategic management of veterinary clinics, is going to be really tiny. There's virtually nobody that's written about that kind of stuff. And by the way, great research topic. So you can look up that kind of stuff, and you can find it if it's an Academy of Management journal or Organization Science or whatever it is, the specific journals that are really good in your area. Then you could just read those specific things. And then you can, sometimes what you do then after that is, once you find an article that you're like, this is cool, it really resonates with you, you just go to the back of the article and you go look at their citations and see who are they're citing. And at the beginning, you're gonna have to read like a lot. You're gonna be overwhelmed, but once you've been in the practice, you start recognizing the names a lot, and they repeat themselves a lot. So you can do that kind of thing, right? So you go to the back of the article and you read some of the articles that they have or they're citing. Pretty soon you just kind of dig deep into it. Google Scholar's really good for that because it allows you to dig deep into those particular articles, and you can look at the different citations and start digging deep. Same with ResearchGate. Sometimes you can get more recent articles on there and access to the PDF versions of them that people have put up there. So that's another one way to do it. But what I want to point out, though, is that your job is to do a lot more writing than you are searching, right? So we have a tendency as scholars to do a lot of searching, and especially PhD students. Well, I had this, everybody I know goes through this. We have a tendency to sort of read and focus on reading for a long time, but you should be focusing a lot on writing. So have a tendency, so if you read something, try to write about it at the same time and make notes about it and sort of build your article as you go. That's going to help you out tremendously compared to just like reading. And then you're like, oh, I have nothing to show for that. So try to build it as you go in terms of the writing. So hopefully this helped you out in terms of doing PhD preparation tips. That's the last one I'm doing in this series. Because I think that's all that is important at this moment. If you're preparing for your PhD, I want you to just go have some fun for a bit and know that you just feel happy that you got in and you made it into this process. So anyways, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye.